If you're new to roleplay, I have the ultimate tool that can help you develop a character and make impactful decisions. Why? Why is the super tool? The question that shines a light on the path you need to go. It doesn't give you the answer, because you have to answer it. But with this question, we can make every decision from character creation to gameplay mean something more. We're going to go through how I use why to create a character, and then executing our creation properly so it feels unique to you as a player. Character creation. Now choose whichever class and archetype you want. I don't need roleplay to supersede the choices you find fun. It should instead enhance your play. So I'm going to start with one of my favorite classes in 5e, the Sorcerer. I love the idea of living life and then suddenly innate magic manifests. Now there are so many choices you make when you're creating a character. I'm going to use one of the most class-defining abilities first, metamagics. In fact, I'm going to go with one of my favorites, Careful Spell. For those of you who don't know, when you cast a spell that forces other creatures to make a saving throw, Careful Spell allows you to spend a sorcery point to choose a number of creatures equal to your charisma modifier to automatically succeed their saving throw against that spell. So if you cast Fear and your allies in the cone, you can use Careful Spell to automatically make them succeed. So they're good. Now let's use our roleplay super tool. Why Careful Spell? Is this a result of the character's focus, or was it an innate manifestation that didn't have to do with the character's personality at all? Let's say that it's because of what our character focuses on. Maybe they're very careful. Maybe they're scared of hurting others. Again, why? Did they hurt people in the past? Or maybe they saw people hurt others and swore that they wouldn't do the same. Or maybe someone they cared about was hurt by reckless use of magic. Let's say it was the last one. Let's say it was this character's father who was injured by an explosive fireball. We can go on and on with the details of this event if we want to, like who cast it, why that happened, and whatnot. But let's carry on for now. This character is careful and is focused on making sure that people aren't harmed by stray magic, to the point that they can sculpt their own magic to make allies safer. Now we have a justification. Now you can pick something else, another meta magic, your subclass, even one of your spells, and again ask why. The important thing to remember here is that sure, you can start back at square one if you have fresh inspiration, another why that you find compelling, but you don't have to. I'm always happy to jump back to that first element that we developed and branch off with the classic storytelling phrase, if this is true, what else is true? So if we're careful, we want to keep people safe from reckless use of magic, so fixated that we can protect people from our own area of effect magic. What might we do to protect people from other spellcasters? Counterspell comes to mind. So someone recklessly casting a massive damage area spell can be stopped. Even something like Control Flames seems logical, because especially the ability to extinguish flames seems like something this character would want to protect people. Now if after a few of these picks you find yourself hitting a wall, unsure of what to do next, we can jump back to the story. The event where this character's father was injured by the fireball, and we can delve a little deeper. How did that change this character's life? How did this impact their home? Did this result in the character needing to step up to take care of their younger siblings? Perhaps this manifests in them learning the sleep spell, akin to them putting their baby brothers and sisters to bed. Maybe this character had spent a lot of time helping their father clean and dress their burns. More of a medical role, which could result in a divine magic sorceress origin, so Cure Wounds is on the table now. Our why allows us to use story to fuel choices, but we can also backwards engineer a choice into a story element. For example, say everything we've established is the reality. Careful Spell because of the father's accident. Counterspell to prevent reckless use of magic. Control Flames for fire extinguishing. Sleep for taking care of siblings. Divine magic, and subsequently Cure Wounds because of medical treatment. But in spite of all this, we really want to take Fireball. We can. We just have to find the justification, backwards engineering it so we feel satisfied with our reasoning. Why would this character know Fireball? Maybe it's about taking that power back from the magic. Maybe this character was so mortified by the incident that their brain fixated on that spell. And much like how you don't want to think about a purple elephant, when you're asked, it's hard not to. So maybe the character, harboring so much hate for this spell, so much resentment, manifests the ability to use it in some cruel twist of fate. They might resent the fact that it's there in their mind. They might hate that they could inflict the same pain on others as was inflicted upon their father. And yet now they have it, and now they can go on the journey to reconcile their feelings towards this spell, towards this type of magic, and separate the trauma from the spell itself, which can be a very strong, pivotal moment in-game. Speaking of, let's talk about how we use this roleplay tool. After all the character creation has been finished, execution. This is the most important part. This transforms merely a fun concept into a realized character, because we can come up with all manner of backstory and interesting ideas, but until we can put this into action, it's all just ideas, known only to us and possibly the DM if we sent them our backstory. How do we show these elements to the other players players at the table. I'm gonna avoid the single character focused sessions, because you can't count on those. So how do we provide these roleplay elements we've crafted to the table without taking up too much time? Every moment in which you're gifted the opportunity to seize narrative control is an opportunity to use your details. You'll have to gauge how much you can give based on how open the table is to extra flavor, and how fitting this particular moment is for that too. One of the prime times to show off some of your character, some of these roleplay elements, is character introduction, in which case I'm going to choose one specific thing I want the table to know. Maybe how careful he is, how much he focuses on protecting others. Where in the tavern is your character, Matt? Charlie is examining the fire pit. There's a roast pig on a spit. He's trying to make sure that anyone around is not in danger, maybe setting up little barriers while using controlled flames to keep the fire from getting too big. That was 2, maybe 3 sentences that allowed us to show an aspect of our character. In about 10 to 15 seconds, we got a peek into Charlie's personality. How do you do this? Simple. When you know you have a narrative opportunity coming, focus in on one key element that you can bring to life. You don't even need to build in any back and forth with any NPCs. Just put your character in the space and consider how that trait might dictate their behavior, especially considering the surroundings. I assumed a little creative liberty by adding the roast pig, but it didn't seem like too extreme of an idea for a tavern. Other generally predictable narrative opportunities where you might be able to shed some light on your character through their actions include what you do before going to bed for the night, what you do before embarking on your travels, how you spend your downtime, how you pass the time when you're keeping watch. Of course, it's not limited to those. Now, with those predictive narrative opportunities, you pick the trait you want to highlight and think, what can my character be doing that shows this trait? For example, say that we want to show that Charlie is careful. Just saying Charlie is careful is okay, but it doesn't feel as strong as if I say narratively, Charlie double checks the stirrups on each saddle before he agrees to renting the horses. Pick the trait, do something with the trait. Now the final element, tell the table why. Our super tool is back, because the previous line about the stirrups could be construed as being careful about safety or careful as to not be cheated. We erase any ambiguity by adding, he wants to make sure everything is safe before we leave the stable, as he's not exactly a professional at fixing horse gear. In addition to the predictable narrative moments, I also want to add some areas where you can inject some flavor, but you have to play it by ear. I usually will keep it short, 1 to 3 sentences, because that's a usually acceptable range for most tables. But even then, if it feels like it's too much in the moment, then hold back, because we don't want to steal too much shine and become a spotlight hog. But if you feel like adding a little extra flavor to, say, finishing off an enemy with that much damage, your fireball is enough to take this guy out. How do you do it? Charlie's eyes blaze as he creates that explosion of flame, engulfing the troll. As the troll falls to the ground, you see that Charlie's hyperventilating. I had to use it. I'm sorry, Dad. Again, with just a few sentences, we get a little peek. Whether the other characters see this or not, that's up to them. I usually do these narrative elements out in the open, so anyone who's watching could notice. But even if the other characters don't see it, the players do, which can create some intrigue and possible opportunities for roleplay. If someone wanted to say, comfort Charlie, or ask why he's reacting the way he is. But they don't have to. If it feels like you have more leeway, you might be able to inject some of this flavor when you're casting a spell to save the day, getting y'all out of a sticky situation. Or maybe when you're dealing with a condition that renders your turn moot, like paralyzed or unconscious. Just little flavor bits that allow you to keep painting the picture of your character and hopefully make them more compelling. But I've rambled on and on enough about this character and these concepts for now. If you have any questions about this tool, please leave a comment. If this was helpful, leave a like, subscribe, it really helps me out. But until next time, don't forget to ask why, and stay safe and take care.